This is your honorable, respectful, fighting man, Katie Trey, on the CCP podcast. John, thank you. As for the other one, you're nothing more than a Boy Scout.
Friends of CCP Podcasting Productions, welcome to another Behind the Curtain Inside the Indies interview that we are officially renaming. I am Chris Page. He is John Cable. John, you came up with the name, so why don't you tell our listeners of the channel and our viewers over on YouTube what we're going to call this adventure moving forward?
Well, we talked about it on stream the other night, so anybody that was there for that got to get an early visit on it. But I believe that what we're going to go with is Beyond the Bell.
That is absolutely correct. So our first edition of Beyond the Bell, we've got a good one. So as you guys know, if you followed our channels and you follow our stuff, we tend to really steer towards independent wrestling because there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of things happening all over the world that you do not get the opportunity to see. And in the process of looking up some of these independent companies and looking up independent matches, and you know, over on YouTube, it's a beautiful tool. You get this little sidebar that says recommended for you. And that's how I came across our guest today. I saw it on the side of my screen, recommended for you. I clicked on it. So I watched the first match. I didn't watch any more because I wanted to do it live, or I wanted to do it on one of our other programs, because what I saw in the match itself, from character work to execution, everything that I saw was fucking phenomenal to me. So I'm super excited to have him on the show. And if you're on the channels and you're watching this now, then you know his spotlight is already out. And if you haven't watched it, shame on you. You're going to need to stop what you're doing and go check it out. John, from the Peach State, our first conversation here in the United States. I couldn't be more prouder and couldn't be more happier. From Deep South Wrestling, from IWE Wrestling, and several other federations on and in between, we have got none other than Skrilla the Great in the house. Mr. Skrilla, welcome to Beyond the Bell. Well, you know, our first edition of Beyond the Bell.
Hey, man, it's an honor. It's an honor.
We couldn't be happier, man. Like I said, when we started this thing, and you know, funny story, I just randomly hit you up. I'm like, hey, man, you know, saw your shit, and hey, are you interested in doing this? And I could imagine that it's probably one of those situations that you look at and you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? What is he doing? But I was grateful that you gave the response, and then we were able to do a full-blown spotlight on you, so our viewers know who you are. They know your name. You've become quite the conversation piece over on our Wrestling Request Live on Sundays. It is an honor to have you on the show, sir. How are you doing today, man?
I'm grateful, man, and I really appreciate you guys shedding some light on me like that, and I also appreciate, you know, just interacting with you guys right now, because I'm all about doing that. You know, cross promotion is a good thing. You get more viewers from me, and I get more viewers from you guys, so it's all a plus for everyone.
Absolutely. John, say hello to Skrilla the Great.
Hello, Mr. Great. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. We're glad that you're here. We had a really good time with your spotlight too. One of the things that I realized watching your matches, because I had never seen you before, I was introduced because Paige pulled the spotlight show for us and saw the talent that was there. But one of the things that I realized really early on in the show was that your versatility against different kinds of opponents is incredible. You match energies with the guys in the ring so well, it's almost a natural talent, I think. And to see a guy this young in his career making the moves that you're making and being able to do that well in the ring, There's a lot of vets that can't make another guy look good if he's not doing his own work. And we saw different levels of talent that you were against. And in each case, you brought the energy that the other guy brought to the match. And you surprised me with the ability to change the way you functioned in the ring. That's a long-term talent that vets struggle for, and to see it so early in your career was impressive.
Man, it's been hard work to do that, and I think it's something that I worked hard for, because I didn't just get trained by one person. I got trained by multiple people, so that kept me from being one-dimensional and just learning how to adapt against anybody. Like the match with Naja, like, he's high flying, fast pace. I mean, he's going, but if I can bring him over, yeah, man. I mean, we got like 4, 5, 6, 7 matches, man. But just to see us mesh well together is very fun, and I thank you. I thank you so much for seeing that, because sometimes it isn't always like the beautiful match that you want to see. Everything's on point. Sometimes the beauty of a match is the ugly part of it, and it shows that it's not choreographed. It shows a little bit of realism to it, and I appreciate you seeing that, though. It makes it fun.
Well, let me ask you this, because you just touched on it. You just said that you had been trained by multiple people.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk. I want to talk a little bit about that. And before we get there, I kind of want to know, when did you get bit by the wrestling bug, man? I got bit by it when I was 16, and I started training at 17. So when did you finally get, it's like, all right, man, this is what I want to do. This is it. Like, at what point, and what drew you to it?
The crazy part is, I met a friend of mine. His name is Eric Dees. And I was doing open mics at that point, and it was just a diverse open mic. And he was doing the wrestling thing, and it wasn't traditional. It was backyard wrestling. Like, this was maybe before the deathmatch thing really started getting up under his feet, and everybody was trying to do it. I think this was like almost 10 years ago. And he showed it to me. He was like, "Hey, man, I see you watch Raw, and I wanted to know if you wanted to get into it." So he showed me their stuff, and they were swinging light tubes and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know, man. But then I watched it again probably like 2 weeks after that, and I was like, you know what, man, this might be my chance to do it, because it's always been a childhood thing. I mean, my mom always says, "Man, I knew you was going to eventually do it. You used to beat up the pillows in the room, and you make all kinds of noise in the room." And then I jumped off my grandma's house trying to be Mick Foley, So it's like, it's always been a thing, but I just never had anything to connect me to it until I was 25. I'm 36 now, but I mean, and I was like, hey, it's now or never. And I mean, from then on, I've just been working hard, and here we are now, So shout out to Eric Dees. Thanks, man, for the opportunity.
So is he one of the ones that initially trained you, or now where do we get there? You say you're trained by a couple people. I'm kind of interested to see where that goes.
So we were still doing the backyard thing, but we were gaining traction in Georgia, because whether they were talking bad or they were talking good, they were talking about us.
Mm-hmm. There's a large culture for that, and like especially South Georgia, North Florida. There's a big culture for that.
Yep. So we were gaining traction, and then a guy named Fred Yehai comes out there, and I don't know if you know who Fred Yehai is, but he's one of the most elite wrestlers around now. And he's seen sparks of greatness, and so he pulled me in, and he showed me the basics, and then I went on from meeting other guys like Micah Taylor and Logan Creed, who is now Cruel. Man, so I could be QT Marshall, AR Fox. I could be naming for days. Right. I done learned from so many guys that it makes no sense, man. Jimmy Wang Yang, Nick Patrick, those guys really, showed me not only the basics, but just a way of life in wrestling, so
I can imagine.
because it kind of meshes in your real life too, but
there is absolutely a lifestyle that goes with the business for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of road work, it's a lot of fast food, it's a lot of training time, it's a lot of stinky locker rooms. Yeah, it's yep.
Been there.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes I miss it. There are times that I miss it. There's times that I do, and there's times that I don't. Listen, I know. All right, so you just mentioned Nick Patrick, and there's a lot. Goddamn, there's so much I want to talk to you about. I swear to God. But I got to try and keep on track, right? Like I don't want to jump too far ahead. When you started off your earlier career, first of all, Georgia is a hotbed. It's always been a hotbed for professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And coming up in Georgia, what was that scene like for you in those earlier years when you're really trying to get out here and get on the grind and get ring time and get some reps in? What did that look like back then? A decade plus ago.
It was rough because I was the untraditional guy. I was still doing the backyard trying to get somebody to help me learn, And back then, those guys weren't really accepting of backyarders. We were the quote unquote, excuse my language, but we were the shitbirds, and it wasn't, opportunities weren't coming. So, when I got them, I had to do what I could, and I was just grateful to be around some guys that were like pushing for me, like Christian Elms, AJ Steele. Those guys gave me like my first opportunities and were like, hey man, there's something there, along with maybe Freye Hassan a little bit, but I really got my first couple of reps in with those guys, and they just started believing in me because I just had the hunger for it. So I got an opportunity. I kicked the door down,
Right. You nailed the word hunger, man. And if anybody sees one of your matches, man, they can see it. It's all over you. Like John can attest to this. I'm a very when it comes to professional wrestling, I have a hard on for a lot of things, and I can see a lot of things. And when it comes to talent, being in the business and being behind the scenes in Alabama, I grew up in Alabama before I moved to Florida. It's hard to captivate my attention, I guess is ultimately what I'm trying to say. And when I took a peek at one of your first matches, and to be perfectly honest with you, I think it was one of your ones against Naja. And I saw it blind, I saw it cold. I could see that there is something here with you, and it resonates off of you. And if anybody pays attention to one of your matches, you have a way of bringing people in and drawing people in. And I'll get to my question. I was just setting it up. How hard is it for you as a talent or is it may not even be hard at all. At this point, it may be second nature. To kind of feed off of this crowd, to get the heat if you're playing babyface, or to get the heat if you're playing a heel, and get the pop as a babyface. I've seen you play both, and I'll be perfectly honest. I am definitely more prone to the heel Skrilla than the babyface Skrilla.
Yeah, no doubt. Everyone is.
How hard is it for you to kind of, or easy is it for you to kind of gauge and to get that reaction? And what I'll pinpoint your match with James Storm. It was one of the ones we had on the spotlight. Oh, man, that crowd, bro.
They ate that match up,
dude. I thought somebody was going to riot.
And and that's crazy because me and James didn't really go over a whole lot, so it was kind of just going. And I was like, if I'm going to get in James, and anywhere in James's area of working, I'm going to play mind games first. So that's why it took me so long to get in the ring, because he was like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be going into the first spot. And I was like, no, I'm going to play mind games with him. I'm going to get heat with the fans. I'm going to let my manager get some work in, my other guy get some work in. I wanted to help everybody be a part of that. And then we had a spot with the ref. And I think that's one of those things that doesn't get used a lot. The ref is also there. He needs to be used a lot more too, but that's another story. But it all depends. It all depends on the opponent. It all depends on how I feel that day. It all depends on the crowd. It's a lot of factors that go into it. But I try to go in there with a strong head and just be like, hey, just treat this match like it's your last, and that's where I go in there like that. So, and you get what you get, But I like you said, I enjoy doing my heel work because I get more engagement, I feel, with the crowd. Whether it's laughs,
I believe that too.
Yeah, whether it's laughs, boos, or you hear cheers there here and there because some people appreciate it, So I definitely enjoy getting that reaction from those fans, and even like I have a match with Carly Bravo. He's with Ring of Honor right now, and like before I make my entrance, there's this kid that just wants me to shake his hand so bad, and I put my hand out there, but I throw it up really high. So he can't even, he's trying to jump and I jump with him, and the crowd's just eating that up, like, how are you doing that kid like that, but they love it at the same time?
It's the little things. It's the little things, dude. It's a little piece of the game.
That's what gets them intrigued my bad, I ain't mean to cut you off, but that's what intrigues them to be like, what's he about to do? Because he's being an asshole right now, So what is he going to do in the ring?
Exactly.
I try to find little things. I try to find little things like even when I'm making my entrance, just to figure out something to attract them to me immediately without even saying a word, So then when I do say a word, they're like, "Oh my God, this guy here, man,"
The psychological aspect, man. The psychological aspect.
A lot of homework. Watching the 80s, the 90s, like just watching so much of that stuff, man. Like, like even from when Triple H and Undertaker had that one moment where they didn't say a word, they just stared at each other and looked this way and looked that way. Like, that's the beauty of wrestling, for them not even do anything or say anything, and the crowd just knew what was happening. That's the beauty of it to me, being able to get them to understand what you're doing without even saying a word or making a move.
Man, that takes me to
they just know.
Yeah, it takes me to a
they just know.
Takes me to a Jake Roberts quote, and I can't remember the interview. It was, if a man has enough power, he can stand in a room and not have to scream and holler, and everybody will hear him. And that's just the psychological aspect of it, man. That's a piece of your game that is, if you don't get, if people don't tell you how great that is and how you play that and how well you do that, then allow us to be the ones to tell you that, because it's truly a tremendous little nugget of the character that does get overlooked sometimes. John, I'm gonna throw it around to you, man, because I've kind of dominated here the first 20 minutes or so. So I know you're fine. You got some things you wanna talk about too. Dude,
so many questions.
Yeah, I know.
So realistically, one of the things that I'm really interested in talking to you about, early on in your career, you said that you were involved in the backyard, and like I said, there is a large culture of that in the South down here. Georgia, Florida, we have a big history in that backyard style wrestling, and a lot of people have come up from that, but there is a stigma about it, even especially inside the industry. And I don't know that it's not well earned either. A lot of backyarders get into injury issues with workers when they get into the ring for the first few times. They're kind of cocky often, and we've seen it, and I've been around that for a long time. What was the transition like from working backyard shows with your buddies to doing a real show? Like, what was the interim there look like? How long did you spend working in gyms with guys before the first match came along? And like, what was the gap space? What did that look like?
Realistically, I'd say probably like a year and a couple months is when I really got that first opportunity, and then like I was bouncing back and forth. Like, the guys were like, "Hey, you got to stop doing that backyard thing if we're gonna bring you in." And I'm like, "All right," and then I'll go back, and because I was still getting reps there, I was still getting reps there, so it was like, no matter what, I'm gonna get reps, and if I didn't do backyard wrestling, I wouldn't have been a part of the Peanut Butter Falcon. The Peanut Butter Falcon is a movie with Shia LaBeouf and Dakota Johnson, Mick Foley, Jake the Snake. And, with us doing backyard wrestling and gaining traction with backyard wrestling, they picked us. They could have picked professional wrestlers. They wanted the rugged backyard because the scene was in the backyard. So had I not did that, I would have never got that opportunity. And that's why you said something about Jake, and I was like, man, that guy is something else. And Mick Foley was like, you guys are backyard wrestling fed, but I couldn't tell. Y'all did really good, and that came from us. Man, we used to be out there, like, guys used to call me the Tupac of wrestling because I would do 3 and 4 matches a day, just because I was just so hungry for it, man. And it didn't matter if it was a hardcore match or a regular match. It didn't matter. I just wanted to continue to grow. So, man, it was a lot, but, it took a toll on my body. I lost girlfriends because of it, and, a lot of people don't understand the business like that, but I'm very passionate about it, and I'm willing to take the risk of continuing to grow with or without those people, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of passion and obsession to do this sport, for real.
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of that way with a lot of things. Like, if we find any hobbies that really we're passionate about, I think that balance of real life and what we're doing with our hobby or our business or whatever is always prevalent. But I do think that wrestling, really any athlete, an athlete of any caliber doing any kind of anything, football, basketball, wrestling, some Olympic sports, any high-end athletes, the life of it does take a toll on us. And it's not just our bodies, it's our social lives take a hit because we're spending days and nights traveling to the next show to get the thing. And it does make a difference how you perceive yourself and the people around you, really, and how that works out for you. So that's, very, very valid.
It took a long time.
Come up.
Yeah, it took a long time for even my family, even though they knew that was like a pastime for me. It took them just now, like, really being fully into it now, like, just this past year, by seeing all the accomplishments. Like, when I won the Deep South title, Nick Patrick had Teddy Long there. Eric Bischoff actually presented me the title. So it was like, they were like, okay, this is really serious now, and you're actually making a good bit of money from it. So it took almost 10 years to even get my family with it. So imagine how many friends that I've lost, and women that I've loved or whatever. And it's a tough business, and that's what Nick Patrick told me. He was like, man, get ready to lose a lot of people on this road, because you're going in a beautiful road, but you're going to lose a lot of people while you're doing it.
That is like probably some of the best advice, like real advice, that I, and then coming from Nick Patrick, I mean, Jesus Christ, the guy's dad's Jody Hamilton. I mean, the assassin. I mean, just it's nuts to see and to know that man, I'm just gonna say, if I had that opportunity to sit under that knowledge tree for 2 hours, brother, I would be on cloud 9. But you mentioned,
I'll do my best to. Hey, man, I'll see if he'll come on, man. I'll give him a shot. He loves doing these kind of things too.
I would love to. I think it would be fucking amazing to sit down and pick his brain. But when you,
they shared the posts and stuff like that when y'all did the Twitch and stuff. So, he already knows. So.
Absolutely, man. We're here for it. When you mentioned Nick Patrick, you mentioned Deep South. I know that obviously wasn't your first stop along the way throughout this journey that you've been on. How does the opportunity for Deep South come across to you? What's that look like? How did that land in your lap? Because that I mean, Nick Patrick is. I'm sorry. I mean, he's
It was him.
He came.
It was him, though. No. Around this time, I think he was saying like his father was getting sick or whatever, so he wanted to reopen Deep South in the honor of him. So when he started it, he kind of opened the doors. He was like, "Hey, anybody want to come train with me? Come out. Let's see what you got. We'll do tryout matches, whatever, like that." And the crazy part is, he loved my work, but I wasn't even a part of the original roster. I actually was a replacement, and I ended up wrestling Naja that first match that you watch. And then he was like, "Okay, I really dropped the ball on having Skrilla here," but I also brought it that day because I was like, "Hey, here's my chance to be on the Deep South roster. I have got to bring it." And he gave me the most beautiful dance partner in the world in Najacism to make it happen. So, I mean, it was just, the stars were aligned, and, even Nick was like, "Hey, you're a part of my roster now." I was like, "Let's get it." And now I'm his champion. Like, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, that match with Najacism absolutely showcased your talents in the ring. You pull out all the stops on that match and made a point to make sure that nobody forgot you. That's for sure.
Hey, let me tell you this. I got a spoiler for you, and I'll drop it to you here. And Skrilla, I have not told you this, so you have no idea this is coming. We do a rivalry show on Saturday mornings at 7:30 a.m. And I release it on YouTube. And one of the rivalry shows that I've got coming up is actually on you and Naja. Your match work is, you guys have this chemistry that it's really unmatched and unrivaled, and the music that you guys make in that ring is so beautiful. From bell to bell, and it's like, and that's now that I bring this up, it's kind of a testament to you, because I've seen you in the ring with so many different people, and as John kind of alluded to earlier, you, depending on who you're in the ring with, not, and this is not a knock, and I hope that guys and you don't take it this way at all. I can tell when somebody is in the ring with you that is green, or maybe may not have the most experience, versus seeing you in the ring with a James Storm or
like Naja or Storm,
or Caprice Coleman. Seeing you in the ring with guys like that, and it's like, okay, all right, this is a thing, but you have a way of persevering through some of that, and being in the ring when you make a mistake, it's you cannot not acknowledge that something happened. All you can do is push through and try and correct it as quick as possible. You have great
recovery work.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm going. Is that instilled in you, or is that something that someone said, "Hey man, if something happens out there, you probably need to autocorrect or something," or did you just pick that up all on your own? Because I've seen you do it several times.
I made those so many mistakes in the backyard, to where now that I'm in the ring and I don't panic, I just figure out how to adjust to the mistake and do my best to cover it up without making it look like a cover up. Because like I said, sometimes the beauty of a match is the ugly part of it. Like, and then people are like, "Oh, well, they messed up," but it kind of looked like they were struggling or whatever happened at that point. You try to fix it to where it looks like, okay, it looks like a fight. And I think that's a lot of parts of wrestling that we lose is so choreographed to where people don't believe it because it doesn't look like a fight anymore. And I do my best. That's why, man, I mean, we'll talk about Naja this whole time, and you guys will have to look at our I Quit match. Our I Quit match, and we retired Nick Patrick.
It'll be in the rivalry show.
Don't tease me with a good time. I need to do that live.
We retired Nick Patrick, dude. It is intense, and it's brutal. It's stiff, and that's what matches need more of that. Like, I'm all for the acrobatic stuff because it's a wow. but I also think that it takes away from what wrestling is, and that's why they downgrade WWE and say, oh, it's sports entertainment. Yeah, but they're bringing it. They're bringing what we love to do, and AEW is more of the flashy, flippy, jumpy. Every match almost, and it's hard to, not that they don't have good storylines, it's just hard to watch. Every match is 15-20 minutes long. Like, I watched it the other night, and the first match was 15-20 minutes long. I was like, this is too long. This is too long. And the next match is going to be doing the same thing. That it's hard. But I think TNA's doing a great job and showing that they're growing as far as the traditional style and meshing it with the new age style. I really like TNA. Also MLW, but it's, I don't know, man. I don't want wrestling to go away from the base of it, or else we're gonna be in a world of trouble if it does. But wrestling
that kind of leads into something that I always ask our guests in the wrestling industry. What do you think is the biggest opportunity as a whole for the industry to move into this new era that's becoming what it is? Because we're seeing mainstream wrestling kind of just existing, and now there are a billion indie feds that are actually getting traction on the internet with the streams that you can do and the shows that you can put out on platforms like YouTube and Twitch. They're growing. What do you think is the biggest opportunity for any fed, not just the big guys, but for any fed, going forward as a whole? What do you think our opportunity is to make wrestling better as we move forward?
Well, I think it's a beautiful thing because quietly, and I'm not trying to break kayfabe or anything, but quietly, some of these feds are becoming a territory for certain promotions. So it's like now it's making those guys mainstream too, because you'll have, like, for instance, Deep South. Deep South could be a territory for AEW, TNA, whoever, or any other place. So it's like it helps an avenue for guys that want to do it, and it continues to keep it from dying, because it almost died years ago, So I think it is in. Yeah, I think it's in the best state it's ever been, and I think that it'll stay this way as long as everybody just continues to be their own thing, And I think I say that to a lot of Georgia wrestling promotions, like, we're the number one Georgia wrestling, yeah, but we're all Georgia wrestling. You're using the same talent, so it's like, we're all in under the same umbrella, so it should be Georgia wrestling is number one, other than this number one promotion or that number one promotion. I think that's where it becomes a problem when one promotion is trying to be bigger than the other one. I think wrestling should just be wrestling. Yes, it's a competitive sport, and you're gonna have ratings, competitive, but I don't think you need to go the extra mile to be like, okay, we're gonna try to put, just like how Ted did back in the day, we're gonna try to put them out of business. Well, you almost did, but you almost put a lot of people in a bad situation too, so people have to remember that this money also helps, provide for our kids and provide for us, and we want to keep it alive as much as possible. I think sometimes it gets caught up in the media eye and they kind of roll with it, but like you said, I think it's in the best state it's ever been, and this helps the traditional guy learn how to work with a guy that does flippy style. If you think he needs to slow down, we'll help him slow down, or if you want to test yourself and pick up the pace and see if you can go with those guys, then this is the perfect time to do it. Perfect time.
You said it perfectly a second ago when you said that the independent scene is turning back into like the old territory days. Because there are so many, and that's such a beautiful thing about what, not to shift focus or anything. When John and I started doing the independent stuff, we originally had a Monday night show where we watched old school WWF house shows, et cetera, and we had a wild hair up our ass to, why don't we just start watching indies? Like, they're all over the fucking world.
We got tired of getting blocked. We got tired of having our content blocked is what it was.
Yeah, fucking YouTube, you little pricks. But we start finding all these different indies, and from there it went to, okay, well, now we're seeing all these different guys from all over the world, and it then turns into not only seeing all these different guys all over the world. Well, how can we try and take the next step? Oh shit, why don't we start using our Thursday night show? Like, again, we're doing bigger spotlights on, the main talents in the WWE or the old school guys. Why don't we do this on the independent guys? Because they're the guys out here that are busting their ass, and really, it's almost like I can equate it to like college football versus the NFL, right? The independent scene, you don't have that big contract. This is where you're the guys that are going to be around in the next 10 years are out here busting their ass right now, and nobody has a fucking clue. Let's help them find it. Let's help them. Let's show them the light a little bit.
The most beautiful thing that came to my eyes in the 2-hour show that you did of me was one person that was like, "Is it okay if I don't know who he is?" And then they did their research and they were like, "Oh, wow, he's," they were finding stuff as they were watching the match. They were also looking up stuff. That was the most beautiful thing and feeling that I had while watching that, because it's like, wow, you guys are helping people be discovered, and it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, well,
y'all are doing a great job, and y'all are needed.
That's something that we've really built in our community, because a lot of the people that come watch our show are there regularly, and they are part of the Discord also. They're the ones that request the matches. They're the ones that look up new stuff. We have an open dialogue with them on a constant basis. So they often are like, oh, if I'm interested in a show or I see someone, they'll go look something up and drop it in the request channel.
Okay. And we'll flip around.
So that's something that we've cultivated in our community as much as possible. And that's awesome that you noticed that. That's cool.
Man, it touched me, bro. I was like, wow. Like, they're doing their research. And that's how you show they're diehard wrestling fans, regardless of it's indie or, professional. Like, they're like, let's figure out who this guy is,
Realistically, we just like good talent. And when we find good talent, we like to look it up and look at it, because it's great. We want to see good wrestling.
It's insane. We did the live shows, and you just call, like, somebody will say, hey, I don't know who that is. Well, don't worry. That's why I'm here to introduce you. And a good piece of that is, again, when we pick our shit, we don't know what we're watching. Like, I think I told you, man, I want to go out of my way to find stuff I haven't seen, because I want to be able to react genuinely. I don't want to. We're not fake. We don't. We want to be as real as possible. And in order to do that, I have to see something I haven't seen before. And again, I collaborated with you. And it's like, hey, what about this? What about this? But let's shift back to why we're here, and that's you. And Deep South wrestling is a huge thing. We've been teasing and talking around it a little bit for a few minutes. Right now, I think you're coming up on a year run as the current Deep South World Heavyweight Champion. Which is a huge testament. We were talking to Katie Trey a couple of weeks ago out of Australia, and he just wrapped up a year run with the RCW Championship. And I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked him, because I think that to get your point of view from it is really detrimental when knowing that you come from the backyard. And that's hit or miss. People either for it or they're against it. How hard you have busted your ass over the last 10 years. And you've won several championships throughout your career. I don't want to discredit any of those along the way. With the Deep South Championship, I saw the match with Naja, where you won it a year ago. And, when you have that conversation, when Nick Patrick comes to you, or whoever, I would imagine it's Nick, and he comes to you and he says, hey, man, here's the creative I got for you. This is what I'm laying out. I'm putting my belt on you. When that conversation goes down, what a lot of people fail to understand, because they're not in the situation, that's a lot of responsibility, even on an independent circuit, because you have to drive the audience. So when you are tapped and they come to you and say, "Hey, man, I'm putting my belt on you," what's that look like? What's that conversation look like? And what was your initial reaction to it? Because this has got to be a priceless story.
Well, I'm going to rewind it back to like the year before that, because we had probably like 6 to 8 months, but it was close to a year at the I Quit match. And I was laying there crying. Like, that match had so much, and I'm not trying to, break it away from you, but man, it was so much emotion. His family was there, my family was there, and they were all chopping at the bits of who was going to win. And, after the match, I just laid there and cried, because it was just so much emotion in the room. And all I can remember is getting tapped on my back, and Nick is just like, "Man, you did it. You did a great job, but this is only the beginning." And I didn't know what he was talking about at that point, So we fast forward to, the tournament, and he's telling me everything that's going to happen with it. And he's like, "I'm going to put the belt on you." And I'm like, "What? Like, no, like, I don't deserve that." He's like, "Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do." And, when you're in that position, you don't know how to take it, because there's just so much going behind it. Like, if you look at the history of Deep South with his father, and I mean, The Miz and Xavier Woods held that title, So I'm like, most of those guys have held that title and went on to go to the big league. So it's like, whoa, this is instantly putting my head like, man, they're putting the rocket on my back, So it's like you said, it's tough, because it's nerve wracking. All kinds of emotions go through your head after that. Like, after that, I'm like, my God, please don't let me get injured. Like, everything runs through your head as you're building up to this. And then after that, it's like, okay, now I'm in stride to do whatever is going to happen next. And I don't want nothing to crush this moment or these moments going forward, because, man, this is like once in a lifetime kind of deal. A guy that came from the backyard, had no idea, swinging light tubes, bleeding, going home, had no idea I would fast forward to it'll be 10 years in April, to I'm the Deep South champion with so much prestige. Like, I don't know, man, it's still remarkable. I'm still very grateful for it, man. I'm so grateful to I was in the Georgia Dome that night when Goldberg beat Hogan, and Nick Patrick was one of those guys that I just loved as a kid. From being a kid loving Nick Patrick to now being up under his learning tree it's so surreal, bro. It's so surreal, but it also shows me that I was meant to do this, So
it's gotta be one of those one of a kind feelings. Like, you grew up in Georgia. You grew up, again, you're at the Georgia Dome, and now, Deep South. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know, who draws what as far as Georgia Indies are concerned, because I don't. What I do know is that, being the man, if you will, the responsibility that it carries, the really and truly, you're the face of the company. And that's something that is commendable, and to run with it for a year is something. That's a horse of a different color, because now you're hitting different status level. You talk about The Miz, you talk about Xavier Woods, you talk about the lineage of Deep South and what that brings to the table. I mean, brother, you're obviously doing something right.
And I mean, I dare say that title reign helped me become 2003 Georgia Wrestling History's Wrestler of the Year. We just had the award show a couple weeks ago, and I won that along with Feud of the Year. It was Skrilla the Great versus Georgia, and they made that one as a nominee, but I have won like 6 different titles at 6 different companies. So it was like, they were like, wow, he kind of went against everybody in Georgia, but it was more of me trying to bring us together, But I was like, show me my opponent who's going to stop me from bringing us together. So it was a great story.
I love that attitude.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
But yeah, I mean, Nick. I owe a lot to Nick, man. I owe a lot to him for sure.
Man, so during your training phases, your first few years in the ring, we always hear about stuff that you really like to do and stuff that your specialties. But I always like to dig into things that were rough for you coming into the business. What was some of the things that it was like? What was the thing for you getting into the wrestling ring, or in backyard, whatever, that were hard for you to grasp as a concept, or were hard for you to really get to? Like, my thing was rope work. I hated ropes. I don't do ropes or heights or anything like that. So that was hard for me during training. It wasn't so much the physical work or any of the skill training stuff, but like, what was something for you, mic stuff or character work or something that was really hard for you to grasp and really to understand?
That's what I was gonna say. That's what it was. It was, who is Skrilla the Great, and where does he go? What is his mission statement? What does his move set look like? Because every move in the world's being moved, or every move in the world is being used. So it's like, what are you gonna do? What is your character gonna portray? That's like, early. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, am I just gonna be this guy that just goes out there because everybody already knows me as a backyard wrestler, so they just think I'm gonna be a brawler. So that's when I started going to like AR Fox, and all right, let's bring the springboard cutter in to show people I can jump, or do an elbow drop here or there or something like that. Let's go over here with Cruel and figure out how to make sure that my strikes really, impact the match, or my Euros really impact the match, because everybody does it. But I made sure that when I do it, that it came from Skrilla the Great. It wouldn't look like everybody else. Everybody does a ripcord, but nobody does a ripcord sling blade, So it's like, it's finding different ways to, take, but also when you're taking, pay homage and make it yourself, make it your own, make it your own.
What were some of the influences on that? Like, did you look at other wrestlers and say, oh, I would like to have this part of that character, or was it movie stars or comic books, or what was your inspiration to build the character?
A little bit of everything. I'm a crazy fan of The Rock, so just Hollywood Rock, the way he did his heel work, it was funny, but also serious at times. I took a little something from that, and movie-wise, it was Training Day. I loved Denzel Washington in that, and I just took the way he just didn't care and made every move methodical. I felt like that was something that helped create my character. Music-wise, T.I., I'm the king, so I kind of took something from him. Wolverine, kind of like, when I'm serious, but hey, I'll make a little joke there, and you either laugh at it or you don't, but I'm still in there gonna kick your ass, So I took a little something from everything. I took a little something from even Batman. Even Batman had a dark side that didn't really get showed like that until like he was like Bruce Wayne. He would go out there and just tell the truth to piss people off, so he could go back to be Batman, and say,
because he just didn't want to be there in the first place.
yeah. He's like, all right, let me piss all y'all off, and then jump in my suit, and then kick all y'all's ass. So yeah, it was pretty cool. That's why I incorporate in my promos, like, just play mind games. That was one of my main things, is playing mind games. A lot of guys like to shoot, or whatever, but I like to play mind games. Like Naja, When we had the I Quit match, he wears the face paint. I wore it on the other side. I wore, just to mess with him.
You have
it
that.
Makes it fun. I kind of took that.
You have that.
Yeah, I kind of took that. Seth Rollins was doing it, but I made it my own. I did it differently. So
you play the psychological card very well, and
right.
That's something that I appreciate as a good heel, is because it's not. It doesn't. It is definitely about the in-ring work, but it's also about manipulating the crowd, and I really commend your work there, because it's hands down, from what I have seen thus far on the indie scene, and this is not blowing smoke up your ass, Katie Trey. I hope you're listening. If you want to look at some really good heel work here in the United States, then I'm going to need for you to go ahead and take a peek at the spotlight that we did on Skrilla. You might learn something. That's coming to you.
Well, here's the thing. I was about to say, well, Nick also told me, he said, hey, man, the heels kind of, coordinate the matches. So if they're not into you, they're not going to be into the face that you're in the match with. So it's like...
The heroes
if
are
you're not
as good as the villains that they're fighting.
There you go. So I take pride into that. Like nothing completes me more to hear the blues. Even when I'm at home, and I hear the cheers, but I still give them something to kind of boo about and then go back to cheering. I learn how to adapt,
Absolutely. It shows 100%. Now, outside of nausea, and again, this is, I want to stress this to the people that are watching the show. When we do these spotlights on independent wrestlers, so Skrilla, I'm gonna bring you in behind the curtain. What I do is, like, if I see something I like, and in this case, I use you as the example. Saw one of your matches with nausea, and I went, okay, hold on. And did a little bit of digging, did a little bit of research. We put the spotlight show together. And again, when I say, hey, give me some names that you had a good match with, right? Like, that's kind of how I do this. You're giving me somebody that you are endorsing, right? That's how I find other people to kind of reach out to. Because if you're endorsing them, then I'm definitely going to go and look up their shit, because that's another way that we can support you, in a way that we can support whatever else is going on. So I say all this to say, like, to circle back around. It doesn't have to do with nausea, but give me some names of some other people in Georgia that you feel like that you have had some really great matches with, that maybe don't get the light put on them that they should have put on them. Like, maybe, some of your best feuds that really, you think about. Like, you could say, night off.
Oh yeah. What was you about to say, John?
I was gonna ask, or matches that you want to have that you haven't, and talent that's local in your circuit, because I know that there's a lot of people around you that you haven't fought yet that you think would be fire.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Other than nausea, and like, there's a piece of me that loves him so much because he had been wrestling for like I think like 10 years, and he took a break. So I helped resurge his career, and he is just blown up, But if I had to choose any more guys, definitely Owen Knight. Owen Knight's one of those guys that just smash mouth, versatile. He's a lot of people say that when they see him, it's like looking at a mirror and seeing me, So definitely check out Owen Knight. Check out Bryce Cannon. He's doing his thing. He's actually, March the 2nd, he wrestles Matt Cardona. He's one of those guys that I've been around since he came along with his guys in Exotic Youth. Who else? Shoot Taylor. He's been on AEW a few times. He's really, really good. Really, really good. David Ali is really good. Joe Black is really good. Chip Day is really good. Nick Halen. I mean, I can be naming for days. There's so many guys around here that I've just had matches, but like you said, I just had matches with people that that didn't get the light shedded on it that it should have. Like me and Nick Halen, we had Triple H and Shawn Michaels match all over again, and it just kind of got buried in the shuffle, But a lot of people be like, "Man, that match was really good," But yeah, there's so many guys I could be naming until we get off of here, But definitely those are the base guys, and I hate that I'm missing somebody. I know I probably am, and they're gonna get mad at me. But there's a lot of guys.
This is where we fix that right now. Whoever you forget now, you have the DM. So just shoot me a DM. So nobody, nay. We're not doing that. Yeah. So
Georgia wrestling as a whole is very, very talented. I mean, Sal Renaro, still doing it. Judias, I could be naming forever.
Yeah, no, Georgia's been thick for decades. Yeah, it's kind of a crazy scene.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
You're coming up on your 1 year, down in Deep South as the world heavyweight champion. What else you got? What else is going on around you, or anything that we can talk about? I know, is that 1 year show tomorrow, as of this recording, or is that in? I saw an advertisement for it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head right now.
I think it's next month. I believe it's next month.
Okay, all right.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe. Don't quote me on it. I'm gonna feel bad if I'm wrong, but it's either February or March.
Yep. No. Well, I'll figure it out. I think. Do you know who your opponent's going to be for that show yet, or is that? Can we not talk about that?
Yeah, we can. His name is Chad Skywalker. This is actually our second match, and it's a 2 out of 3 falls match. And he's also one of those guys in Georgia that just doesn't get any light shed on him. He's really solid. He can't beat me, but he's really solid.
Yeah. No, we got to keep it 100. You get in there with the fucking great, man. What is your problem? It's not going to be an easy day at the office. What the hell?
That's right.
I think, I'm really, dude, I'm so glad that I had, the opportunity to come across your stuff on a whim. I really am. It is tremendous, and you're also tied into I think IWE. Is there you got some stuff happening there?
I just in January was my 1 year anniversary as their IWE Mayhem champion. So those guys are like another piece to my puzzle that just fits. They're working hard to bring me matches that's going to be monumental in my run there too. So
let's talk about
stay tuned to that.
A second. Yeah, let's talk about them for just a minute. I don't want to because again I think that this is great that you're now running. I didn't know you're dual fucking 1 year champs in 2 different fucking companies. Man.
Right?
Come on now. Go ahead, John.
He also mentioned earlier that you had held belts in 6 different parts of Georgia. What does your schedule look like, and what's your travel look like? Like how is it this last year for you? What's that look like? How has that been?
I'm so glad. I love wrestling to death, bro. But I am so glad that 2023 is over, because I legit put Georgia on my shoulders and clearly walked that whole year with it, man. And I'm just, I'm down to just 3 promotions now. But I was at like 8 or 9 promotions, and I was doing because some shows run on Sundays too. So I was doing at least like 10 matches a month, bro. Now, do the math.
That's more than 2 a weekend. Yeah, no, that's a hell of an itinerary. How do you keep up with that?
I either put it in my phone, or I'm really close to the promoters and the bookers, and they make sure that I'm on it, because I'm a big asset to most of those places, so I'm usually on their speed dial,
They
and
just
they're
call
calling,
you
"Hey,
a
you
couple
good?"
of days in advance. Like, hey, you're still coming, right?
Yeah, like Tim. Shout out to Tim from IWE. He calls me more than any of them. You know, maybe I don't know. Maybe Eric does from Deep South, but between those two guys, I mean, they call me more than my mom. You know, like, but I know they love me, and I love them too. But man, they make sure I'm good at all times, and I really appreciate that too, though. You know, but man, it was a wild ride, bro. Being a champion at 6 different promotions was very rough, along with with the road, because I was at KLT, that's Rome, Georgia. At that point I was down south, so that's a 3.5 hour drive. Then I have to go back down there and wrestle in Warner Robins, and then I would have to drive 2 hours to drive to Atlanta, then go back home and work for the rest of the week and get ready to do all that stuff all over again because I'm committed to the places that I'm the champion at, so I have to be there. And sometimes these promotions will land on the same day, so I would have to double shoot. It was a lot of wear and tear. Uh, I wish looking back at it, I wish I would have did more going to a chiropractor, and I didn't. I really just did the Planet Fitness, hit the hydro massage or the massage chair when I could, just because it was just go and do it and keep going. But I'm grateful that I did it because um, I laid out a blueprint and I kind of fulfilled it. And now I'm at where I'm at now, so I can kind of relax and take a little bit, but I'm still pushing. But I ain't had 6 or 7 different promotions no more. I think I did enough work to bring the eyes that I wanted to bring to the eyes, or bring to the promotions, or the stuff that I'm trying to do. Like, I mean, uh, the last Deep South show, Road Dogg pulled up. So I was like, wow, like. And I mean, they were there the night before, because they did the State Farm Arena, and then he's cool with Nick, and he just came over, I just want to see what's going on. I'm like, oh, okay, but
Just out of the
it's
blue.
just
Thanks for stopping by.
No,
just stopping by.
Bullshit.
Yeah, okay,
I call shenanigans.
But I will say, I was about to say him and his brother Scott. And that's another person that I didn't say earlier, but I was around Scott Armstrong for about 6 months, but I learned so much from him in those 6 months because he just knows the business. His family knows the business, and I just soaked in so much because he saw a lot in me. He was like, "Man, you keep doing what you're doing, man. You're on your way." He's like, "Just stay healthy, and we'll see you down the road." So those are the things that I hear, and I'm like, okay, I got to do it. There ain't no stopping now. There's no breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a story for you because you mentioned Armstrongs, and I told you I came up in the Alabama Indies, and Bob was a big.
Yeah, he's out there at that promotion in Alabama, right?
He wrestled all over Alabama, and I wrestled for a company. I don't even know if it's still around. I wrestled for a company called GCW, and he used Bob and Scott, or I don't know if it was Scott or if it was Steve. They would always one of the sons would always make the shot with him. And I have a Bob Armstrong story where I did a run-in, and I got to get my ass kicked by Bullet Bob under a mask and get laid out and him do the Junkyard Dog Boogie on the ropes over me. And it was the greatest fucking, at the time, it was, outside of working with Sherry Martell, was the greatest fucking moment for me because Armstrong was a legend in Alabama, in Continental, in the 80s when I grew up. So to have that moment, to hear you say that, that you were under the learning tree of I can own, I imagine, sharing a locker room with him 1 or 2 times was tremendous. So, I'm so jealous.
Bro, so within those 6 months, like I had met him because I met him, he did a seminar man, the weirdest part of it was I was the only one there. It's so crazy. I was like, how did these Georgia wrestlers miss the chance to be there with Scott Armstrong, right? So I'm the only one there. So he's like in debt with me, you know? And he was like, you know what? I'm going to do this again and get some more of these guys to come out, you know? So I got some more of the guys to come out. He said, I'm going to do you a favor. I said, what's that? He said, I'm going to ref your match tonight. I said, oh my God. All right, cool. You know, and just to learn from him, like within the match, like he's, you know, choreographing what we need to do better and just showing me how the big guys work, because that's how they work, you know, and just the communication of being in there with a guy that knows what he's doing is just, it's so mind blowing. It made me want more. It was the best high I ever had in my life, bro. Like, man, Scott Armstrong is that guy, man.
That makes sense to me, because you touched on it earlier about referees and the fact that their role in the match is probably more critical than, and I agree, more critical than most will agree, because they can make or break a fucking match. And if you get somebody that's not doesn't know what the hell they're doing, it could be rough. And
he was testing us like, hey, you got like 4 minutes left. Come on, get what you got. Get what you going to get in there. You know, like, what are you gonna do? Get in there. He's like, that's how it is on TV. You only got 5 minutes, so you better make sure whatever you're trying to do, you better do it within the 5 minutes. Because if you go overtime, if you go overtime, you're probably going to get fired. You know, because you're not Randy Orton, you're not, you know, whoever. You know what I'm saying? So it was a learning experience. Man. It was a learning experience.
John, what's on your mind over there? I see it turning.
It is. So we've talked about your early career and then the ridiculous road schedule that you had through last year. How do you fit your workouts in? What's your training schedule look like? And what's something that you do that isn't necessarily in the gym or the weights to keep up with what else you got going on? Like, what's something else that you do besides a standard training regimen?
Well, I get up at like 6 a.m. and go to the gym before I go to work. So, and that's at least 3 or 4 times a week. Sometimes because I detail cars. So sometimes when I'm just slow, I'll do some push-ups, or I'll just listen to some meditation music. Meditation music is one of the best things in the world for wrestlers mentally. I swear, a lot of them don't know about it, but just hearing meditation music before a match and trying to remember your stuff, it goes hand in hand. I advise some of those guys to learn how to listen to that and also be like, okay, this is what my match is going through. It soothes you out while trying to remember everything. I know it sounds weird, but wrestlers try.
That's what its purpose is. That's the whole point.
Yeah. It soothes you out and gets you calm and ready. Sometimes I hate myself for leaving my headphones at the house, because I'd be like, man, if I had my meditation music right now, I wouldn't be as tense. And you know, the crazy part is, I used to be so tense going deep south, but that's the most comfortable place I'm at now. Like, and you'd be like, how are you comfortable around those guys? Man, I'm comfortable now, you know, and that's,
you've been there a while. Really cool. You've got your spots in.
Yeah, man, it feels really good. But yeah, I don't know. I do a lot more stretching now because I'm getting older too. I see a lot of young guys just hop in there, and I'll be like, bro, you better stretch. And, you know, they laugh at me. But
it's crazy how that changes as you put the years on it.
Yeah, but they're going to learn in a couple of years. They're going to be like, man, I should have listened to Skrilla, because, man, now I'm feeling it. And these guys are doing all kinds of flips and stuff. Their hamstring's going to be all tore up if they don't start stretching, man.
The knees, hamstrings, elbow, the wrists. Yeah, all of that's going to be just wore out.
Yeah, man, yeah. And I just, I think another thing I do before matches is get some rest. I think it's hard because your nerves are so amped up, but I'm grateful for my job that keeps me working all day to where I'm tired the night before. Like, when I get off with y'all, I'm probably going to pass out, you know, because I got a three match weekend. I got 2 matches tomorrow and 1 on Sunday. You know, and those matches are like back to back. Like, so I ain't gonna have much time in between those. You know. So
and you just said you were taking it easy this year. That's is that taking it easy, Skrilla? Come on now.
Well, to be fair, this month I've only wrestled once this month though.
I mean, all right.
Okay.
I've only wrestled.
Did you have last month though?
Like 2. Yeah, I'm slowing down.
Okay, all right. So you're just trying to get back into the ring a little bit. All right.
Well, I definitely didn't tell. Hey, this promotion, y'all should run the same day. You know, like that's the tough part about it. Sometimes when they'd be like, hey, we're trying to book you for this day. I'm like, all right, cool. And then they tell you the date, and I'm like, oh crap. And I'm like, whoa,
is there any
hold up.
communication among the different feds in Georgia?
Thank
Did
goodness.
they try to
Thank
schedule
goodness.
around each other?
Guess who was trying to make sure that happens, because there was just so much more of like competition versus like, hey, we're still Georgia wrestling. I'm going to tell you not so much their plans, but I'm going to tell you, hey, this is the date that they're doing. I know you guys usually run that date. And now Deep South runs earlier in the day. That way we can get to our other matches. So there now is, you know, everything that I did last year, I see it coming and growing now. Like, and that was just bringing us together because we're all a unit, you know. I mean, I'm Skrilla the Great, but I'm helping Georgia wrestling evolve, because let's say I leave, we want to keep it elevated, you know? So that's part of it. A lot of guys don't realize that it's really 10% talent and 90% business, you know? Like, you got to know how to move outside of the ring too, and actually be learning and also teaching the guys that are coming behind you, because I mean, you're not going to be able to do it forever. So it's like, hey, well, let me find, you know, a protege. I got one. His name's Akeem Young. He's got his old king gimmick going on, and he calls me every day just to, you know, get knowledge, and I'm not afraid to give him that knowledge. That was one thing my grandmother told me this, and I was like, man, that applies to wrestling. And she was like, you know, the richest part of the world is the graveyard, because there's so much stuff that wasn't told, and all of that is just, it's metaphorically money, because you could grow from all that knowledge. And when she said that, I was like, man, that pertains to wrestling too. So anytime I'm around some young guys, I'm gonna help elevate them as well, you know, because I don't want to keep growing and not be passing it down.
Well, I want to give you some hope in that endeavor, because I hear you saying that you're trying to get them to communicate, and I want to tell you, you know, as we've dug into the Australian circuit, one of the things that I've noticed about their circuit is that the feds are all working together and using a lot of the same talent to make sure that the market is very successful. And the product that's coming out of there right now is tremendous across the board. So I want to give you some hope to keep pushing for that, because we've seen it working somewhere else. So it's definitely the plan.
If these promoters, and this was with the utmost respect, because I'm sure they're going to watch it, if they would get their head out of their asses and just be like, hey, we use the same talent, and at the end of the day, it's about elevating these guys to get to the next level. That's what it boils down to, because if you elevate us to get to the next level, then your promotion goes to the next level, the circuit goes to the next level. It's all the process, and us fighting each other isn't going to help it, you know. I get, you know, having storylines and don't break kayfabe, but at the end of the day, we got to come to a common ground and have that understanding. Because like you said, the UK is working. Even Florida wrestling, those guys may not like each other, but I see a lot of them coming together too and working together and putting their top guys against guys that are already there and showing that they can go with the top guys around. Like, that's why I love Deep South. They're like, okay, you're elevated enough. Let's put you in there with James Storm and show people and show the world that you can be there with these guys too. And that's what all the other promotions should take that and be like, hey, we should be doing that. We should be doing that. There's no reason.
The industry right now is definitely, like we said earlier, you know, we're moving the industry into a different kind of era than it's ever been in. The move from just a couple of centralized companies that can afford TV time to an entirely online existence for wrestling has opened up a lot of opportunities and a lot of avenues for small companies that maybe never would have made a dent to become these massive conglomerate things if they utilize social media and the internet the way that they can. And I see, like, you are definitely pushing for that as a movement among the Georgia wrestling federations. And it's commendable, and I love to see that, because that's definitely where we go. Like, I see the industry moving towards the territories more than anything else. And that's kind of what you're building on right now.
I mean, look at the guys that are out here right now. I mean, Matt Cardona is damn near everywhere right now, you know, like, and I think these promotions, okay, you're not all your guys are going to make it to the big promotions, but you can bring somebody that has been in the big promotions to your promotion to even bring eyes to whoever you're building up to try to see if they can make it. You know, that's why I like that. You know, my boy Bryce Cannon is wrestling Matt Cardona to show the world that he can keep up with him. And shout out to Lariato Pro. I also wrestled there too, and that used to be Luke Gallows' promotion in Georgia as well. And he used to bring in a lot of guys. I brushed shoulders with Carlito and Ron Simmons, being around that guy. So shout out to Luke Gallows. But man, like, Bryce is one of those young guys that everybody's like, okay, he's the next level guy in Georgia wrestling. If Skrilla or Joe Black or any of those guys leave and go to the major promotion, this is who we're tying the rocket to. And they're already like, hey, all right, let's put him against Matt Cardona. So when we do it, then he'll already be prepared for it, you know? So
right.
And I think all, like, IWE is starting to learn that too. They bring in Alex Kane from MLW, like, you know, and Hammerstone and Slim J.
That was
you know
a huge
what I'm saying?
move.
Yeah, like, and they're bringing all kinds of people in there now, you know, Colby Carino, like, they're bringing all kinds of guys in now. And like, the base places like Classic City, IWE, Deep South, they're working together because they figure out that this is the formula to help not only Georgia wrestling, but these guys elevate to where our promotion elevates as well, you know? So
I don't mind.
It's working out, man.
See you working. Go ahead.
I don't mind being the guy that tells the promoters out there in the great state of Georgia that if you don't jump on this bandwagon and try and make this thing happen, fuck off, because you're hindering a much bigger process. Because, again, we have seen it from other perspectives. We see it working in Australia. We see it working in the UK. We see it that it could be a thing. And with Georgia being such a hotbed state, if everybody got on the same page and was reading the same book, it could be a big time resurgence. And so if there are promoters that are watching this and you disagree with me, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Don't take it out on him. You can come talk to me. My tag's right there at the bottom of the fucking screen.
We got a whole show about that.
I was about to say, I have to send you this. I did a state of the address in 2021 about it, like making Georgia wrestling great again. And I took that from Trump and Obama. I kind of mixed all that together to do the speech. I had my little suit on and everything, but it was real though. It was like, I'm doing my best to help make Georgia wrestling great again. because I see the talent here. We got something big here that can continue to grow. And I mean, now going into 2024 and it's coming together, slowly but surely, but it's coming together.
I want to touch on this. So, over the last 10 years, give or take, with all the work that you have put in, I mean, we're talking about, to 2023 specifically being a landmark year to try and bring the great state of Georgia together. And everything that you've done up until this point in your career, you are what can be termed as a workhorse. Is you've got that workhorse ethic, you've got that mentality, and it's just there, it's ingrained in you. And I feel like with all the hard work comes eventually you get a bigger payoff out of it. And in your situation, what is coming up next for you? Because I feel like all the work that you've put in is finally starting to pay bigger dividends for you. And just speaking to you today and having the opportunity to chat with you via DMs over the last month or so, month and a half, give or take, like I feel like you're on the brink of something that could be a much bigger thing, if that's something that we can talk about.
Mm-hmm. And that was something going into this year. I kind of set myself down and I was like, you've been that guy to, like you said, be a workhorse and just do the work. Just keep my head down and just do the work, This year you got to go for the opportunities. And one of those opportunities just presented itself. I mean, Nick Patrick is good friends with Booker T, and Booker T said he wanted to bring some guys from Deep South to Reality of Wrestling, and they got a match coming up in March, actually a show. And I'm supposed to be a part of that. I'm not sure if I'm defending the Deep South title there against one of the guys or if I'm facing one of his guys. But I'm representing Deep South, and it's going to be a beautiful thing just to learn from that guy and just be in the room with him and see how things operate with him, because, he's got larger-than-life things going on over there as far as him being with NXT and training his guys to go to the next level. I'm hoping to figure out whatever I need to do to get to the next level while I'm there as much as I can, So that's the big step that's coming up. And there's a couple other things that haven't been announced, but these guys are really, like I said, they're putting the rocket on me, and they're going to see what they can pull out of it while I'm there. So we'll see what happens.
It's a huge opportunity. All you need is the opportunity. What I've seen,
Correct.
I don't know you. We've never met. This is the first time that we've ever spoken face to face. All you need is the opportunity, and
no doubt
you have shown that you can capitalize on it. And in this step, and with this next adventure, hopefully, I feel like this opportunity is not going to pass you by. All you need to be seen, and obviously you've been seen by the right people. If this is the case, if they're coming to you and a couple others, or just you, and saying, "Hey, this is a big deal," and all of your work, all of the blood, all of the sweat, all of the tears, all of the lost relationships, friendships, etc., etc. This is the moment that is going to make it all worth it. I truly feel like that if you get this opportunity, that you will make the most of it, and that bigger things are coming your way. This is not bullshit. I'm talking to you real to real. I feel like you have it. I think I told you that in one of the first messages I sent you. You have something. Something is here, and it's a way you draw people in. You drew myself in. I introduced John to you. You drew John in. I introduced you to my channel. You drew my channel in. So you have something. All of your work is going to be fucking worth it. I couldn't be prouder to know that this opportunity is coming to you, because it's well deserved and it's well warranted. And I hope that everything works out in that regard, because again, not to say it, you have earned it, and it's something that is well deserved.
Man, I appreciate it, man. You say that, and one time, Nick's done it all, and I know I keep going back to Nick, but he's really a big part of my career right now. But when he was on Eric Bischoff's show talking about me and Naja's match, he compared the way me and Naja's chemistry. He said it was similar in his eyes, being that he's been there with those guys. It was similar to Sting and Flair, because me in the Flair aspect is I know how to grab the attention of the crowd no matter what I do. You know how much that, just melted my heart, and was like, wow, like for him to see that just in a different realm and in a different stage of guys, being that he's been through different, parts of it. But to say those two names, and I know it blew Naja's mind, because he loves Sting. He loves Sting,
I can tell
so
that.
yeah, he loves Sting. So for him to even hear that, and I love Ric Flair, and I've learned so much from Ric Flair. I mean, who hasn't? It just to hear that from guys that are doing it is remarkable. And like you said, it makes, not only does it make you guys feel like there's something there, but it makes us push even further to know that you guys feel like there's something there. We want to make sure that we make it happen, being that you guys see it, So, it's hard work, but things like that push me for it not to be as hard,
John, you want to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, what do you see, 5-10 years down the road for Skrilla's career? Like, what would you like to accomplish at this point over the next decade? Where do you see your trajectory, and what things do you have your eyes set on?
I mean, who ultimate goal isn't to be at WWE, right? I'm not centering my attention, or build my own company, and that's also a part of that. There's so many things. I want to have my own wrestling facility, not just for guys my age. I want to have it there for teenage kids with the consent of parents, to train these guys so they don't have to go to the streets. If I didn't go to the streets at a young age and had that outlet to wrestling, I dare say I'd be further now, So that's also one of those visions that I see, to have like a teenage wrestling facility. So just keep those guys from taking the wrong route and actually pursuing this business like they want to. But definitely having my own promotion is something. I know the hardships that come with that. So if I did do it, it would be a team of guys. That way it wouldn't destroy my mind or burn me out, because I've seen it happen. I've seen so many guys start a company and they get so burnt out that they end up leaving. So if I did do that, it would definitely be with a group of guys that I trust and could be able to pick up the slack if I did get burnt out, But I still got a lot left in the tank. So, I mean, in the next couple of years, I see TNA or NXT or something, So it just all depends on how the chips fall,
I don't want to step on you when you say, like, and again, you say every WWE. I dare say that maybe not right now, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I got this question about Hammerstone on one of my live shows when he was leaving MLW, and everybody was clamoring for him to go to the WWE. No. No, it's not the right time. It's not the right place. There's too much going on. There's too many moving parts, and you can make so much more money on the independent circuit right now and make your own schedule. And you can make your own opportunities happen on as big a scale as you want. It's a thriving market, and where I would say, I was going to say earlier, TNA I feel would be a better fit for you as a talent right now. And then I think about them just letting go of Scott D'Amore, and I'm on a wait and see kind of situation because
Tommy Dreamer's the guy now.
I mean,
Dreamer's gonna be kind of creative.
I will wait and see. I now my faith is now not there, but with the indie scene thriving,
I was about to say.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, not to cut you off, but Japan's also one of those things that I've always wanted to do. MLW's always been on the table for me. I love the things that are going on there. Ring of Honor is still something that I would like to ponder. AEW is a different entity as far as what I do, but I'm ready for the challenge to bring what I bring to the table there. Because they need it.
AEW scares me. It scares me.
Yeah.
It does. It
is.
It scares me because there's so much talent there that's not being used. And it's concerning to me as a fan and as a guy that's got a head for the business. I understand that. You want to lock down as many people as you can. But if you're not utilizing them. Now, I will say this. With what AEW is allowing, you can still take outside bookings. So in that essence, if you're going to lock me down to a contract, as long as I can still make my own shots, okay, I'll give you Wednesdays. I'll give you whatever that, But don't come calling me if you don't have something for it. Don't call me last minute. You know what I mean? Like if you have 9,000, but then it's, hindsight 2020, if you don't answer that call. It's like... damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation in my eyes. But.
So I was about to say this year and next year is all about expanding the brand as much as possible outside of the Georgia and the Southeast region. As like I said, reality of wrestling is going to open me up to Texas and maybe the Midwest if possible. And hopefully at some point, head up towards the Pennsylvania area. I heard wrestling's really big up that way too. So just trying to open myself up to other places. Chicago, I heard Chicago's got a nice circuit as well. Yeah, I mean, hell, get my passport and go to the UK. You just never know. Like, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
We happened to have made a friend over in the UK on our live show the other night. Michael Oku stopped by and surprised us. So we can say, hey, man. We can
dude, you and Oku would make a fucking fire main event somewhere.
Well, when you said reality of wrestling, the first thing that came to my mind was Brian Keith. And man, if there was an opportunity for those paths to cross, I think that would be explosive.
So I did the start of the year. I did who would you like to see me against, and there were so many of those, like me versus Brian Keith, and I was like, wow, okay, all right. So I would definitely. Match. I'd love to see that.
Dude.
Oh yeah, because you did ask that earlier, and I never did get to answer that. But he's definitely on the list. If I really, are you guys? So how big of guys do you know as far as indie wrestling?
We're learning every day.
We're learning every day. I'm learning every day. There's a lot of guys in Florida that I like to wrestle too. There's a guy named Cha Charlie.
Yep.
He's in CW.
Yep. I reached out to them.
I just think his gimmick along with my heel work would be incredible. I had a match with how do I say his name? I think it's Ariel Rodriguez. He's a short guy.
That sounds
he also
familiar
works
too. He's
he
down
also
at
works.
CCW.
Yeah. We had a match in Port Richey, but I'd love to wrestle him again. There's so many, man. There's a lot of guys in North Carolina that I'd like to work too. It's a lot of guys out there right now. There's a lot of them. It's a lot of them, and I just want to branch out and figure out who these other guys are, so that they can figure out who I am too.
It's the same journey that we're on, boss.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
I mean, because at the end of the day, if I meet you and I can connect my people to your people, and you connect your people to me, then I mean that's a win. That's a win.
So here's a funny, well, not necessarily a funny story. I have a feeling that CCW will be watching this. I've made friends with them,
Awesome.
and I'm trying to set up something. I haven't reached out to Mr. Charlie yet, but that's coming. I will be tagging them in this video and tagging Cha Cha. I would
Awesome.
love to see that happen. And if
That'd be a great match.
we'll talk a little bit more off here
Yeah.
about that, about some of this other stuff.
I went down there one time. I went down there one time for the QT Marshall seminar, and it was a blast. They added me to the Rumble, and man, just that crowd down there is electrifying, bro. Oh my goodness, like they're incredible out there. I mean, man, you know what, their women's division is really good as well. Like wow, like I don't know if you guys seen Kelsey Reagan. She's wrestled at IWE, and her and Lindsay Snow tore it up. They legit killed each other in a hardcore match. Amber Nova's really good. Man, Florida wrestling's got some people down there, man, and I definitely want to branch out there and spread my wings a little bit.
People ask us why we don't cover more Florida stuff, and I always tell them, well, because we don't want to be biased. we live in Florida, so there's only so many nights of the week, guys.
Oh, y'all live out there, okay?
Yeah.
He lives on the west coast of the state. I live on the east coast of the state.
Yeah,
and
man, that's my dream. That's my dream there. I wanted to move to Tampa because me and Chris Silvio was talking for a minute. I was supposed to go to Death Proof for a minute. And,
I'm in the Tampa Bay area.
That kind of fell through. Oh wow!
Yeah,
yeah. Like we were talking for me to come down there with him, and he's got the connect with NWA and stuff like that. But that's another place that they need somebody to bring it, like to resurge it, because NWA has so much prestige, and it's just missing that homegrown guy. They got all these guys that are like ex WWE or ex this, but they don't have that homegrown guy to like carry the banner. I would love to carry NWA's banner.
I mean, I got old 10 pounds up there on the shelf.
I see you. I see you up there.
I got the winged eagle over there. That's the thing too.
Yeah.
I think, man, you've got so much happening for you, and it's really great to see that finally, this is one of those stories that hard work pays off. 100% pays off, and it's just got one of those. It's going to be. I think it's going to be an awesome next couple of years for you as a talent. And here's what's scary, and this is what John. I don't know. John's probably thinking the same thing. When you think about all the people that you have had a chance to work with and learn from Nick Patrick specifically with Deep South, Luke Gallows and his Fed with IWE, and Scott Armstrong, and all down in between, and now with this possible opportunity coming up in Texas with getting under that learning tree. Here's what's scary and dangerous. All of this knowledge that you soak up from all of these different people is going to make you and your stock in the industry, whether you continue on with an in-ring or whether or not you decide at some point to open up your own company, you're going to have all of this knowledge that most people wouldn't have, and that, my friend, makes you super scary outside of the ring, and I fucking love it.
We kind of got, a lot of us guys got the blueprint from Mr. Gainesville himself. AJ Styles did it all. He's been everywhere. He's learned from everybody. So, I mean, and he kind of instilled that in Georgia wrestling, like, hey, don't be afraid to learn from other guys. And we're doing it. So, shout out to AJ Styles, man.
Absolutely, the phenomenal one himself. John, you got anything else?
I mean, realistically, man, I'm just glad that you had the time to spend with us tonight. I'm super glad that you were able to join us and just talk shop with us for a little while. I know that I really enjoy, touching base with people that are involved in the industry. I miss it a lot, and having guys that are actively doing it still and getting to talk about their upbringing and in the business and how the industry's changed a little bit in the last couple of decades is just refreshing to me. So I'm just glad that you had the chance to join us for the conversation. I'm glad that you've enjoyed yourself. I hope that you have anyway.
Oh man, I love doing these kind of things, man. Not only just to talk about me, but just to show people that anything's possible. I was just this backyarder 10 years ago that nobody was talking about, and the hard work, like you said, the hard work does pay off. It pays off, and you can be anything you want to be if you just put your mind to it, man.
When you're proof of that.
Absolutely, 100%. I am very appreciative of your time. I think this has been really fun. It's been really good to sit down and talk to you. And
we definitely got to do it again.
Oh, absolutely. I talk off air.
We can round back up right after you finish your year with the Deep South title.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
As a celebratory show.
I was about to say when I breeze through Florida too, we're gonna end up talking about that too. So.
Yes, sir.
Definitely,
we'll make some things happen for sure. I think this has been fun, dude.
Yeah.
Again, guys, gals, if you haven't already, his name's right there on the fucking screen. It's at Skrilla the Great. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. Underneath that, Pro Wrestling Tees, / Skrilla the Great. Merchandise is there. Guys, listen, the easiest way to support
the indies.
Wrestling, if you don't have the money to buy a shirt, that's fine. You don't have to. That's cool if you can. But here's the easiest way.
But share it anyway.
There you go. Can I finish my plug, John? You prick. The easiest way to support this
I love y'all chemistry.
Oh, man. This is my 15 years. The easiest way to support, go down and follow this guy on Twitter. Follow him on Instagram. If you see his tweets go out, share them. That's it. Help independent wrestling, because that's what this is all about. Our journey is in independent wrestling, because that's where a lot of the real talent that doesn't get the opportunities maybe to be seen, or maybe they do and just not in front of the right audience, or they're trying to engage and grow their own audience. That's why we're here. And
that's where I'm lacking at most on Twitter. Please help me. Please, guys. Please help me.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Facebook. I'm killing Facebook, but please. Help me with Twitter, please, or X, whatever it is,
Yeah.
Help me with that.
And also, down in the description below is the link to his YouTube page. Go over there and follow that. Give that a subscribe too, because that's free. None of this costs you any money. You can literally just go and click a button, and it's done. And it's super simple.
Subscribe to Skrilla the Great Wrestling on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Plethora of those matches we talked about, James Storm, Caprice Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, list goes on. Or find somebody new that I wrestle. Austin Towers. There's so many people, man. Trevor Aon. There's so many guys you can just see and learn, or watch somebody that you know.
When you open Pandora's box, you never know where it will take you. And on this journey, this has taken us down a tremendous road. I think that this has been an awesome show. Skrilla, we appreciate your time. And as always, actually, let me turn it over to you. You got anything you want to say to the peoples, Mr. Great?
I'm just getting started, so buckle up.
John, take us home, man. Let's get out of here.
Whew, it's going to be hard to follow that up, guys, but if you have not done so already, go down below, follow the links to all of Skrilla's content, follow the links to the Discord so you never miss a beat of what we got going on behind the curtain. Guys, if you haven't done it, the elbows, the savage ones, you know where they go, right there on that ding bell. Never miss the thing we got going on. Always new content here at CCP Productions. We love each and every one of you guys, and we will see you again next time.